everybody. It's good to be here. My name is Gregor, and for the past 10 years or so, essentially, I've been active in the field around data sovereignty, part of several projects that were addressing various aspects. I'm co-founder of the Swarm Foundation here in Switzerland. Swarm was started by Ethereum Foundation as the one part of the World Computer Vision to be the world's hard drive. I started also other initiatives like Fair Data Society for Ethics, and currently I'm working in Data Fund, where we are developing the first institutional regulatory compliant data marketplace called Verity. The talk today will be essentially about how to unlock a lot of data that's just sitting idle and not generating any value. So how do we make that happen, and how it's now the time for this paradigm change, because it's essentially being enabled by the rise of AI. But before I start, so first, where are we today? Today, one could say we live in the extraction paradigm, which essentially means we create the data, somebody else owns it, somebody else monetizes it, and if we are lucky, we get some sort of a free service. So this is kind of the deal that we kind of accepted. But time is now showing that it's kind of not working, that the system is broken. It works only for the selected few. And this is the same. Okay, I gave an example for personal users, but it's the same for companies. Because what happens there? We have broken data marketplaces. So the total market size for data marketplaces today is around $8 billion, which is a number I shouldn't be so low. I shouldn't be mentioning at Davos. When we look at another industry, the data brokers industry, the market size comes to 460 billion, about almost 60 times more, and it tells us that data deals are made in the shady backrooms. So it's done outside of any transparency. It's more like hiding, and companies find data actually. Today, it's considered more a liability than an asset. And let's take an example. So we are working with one hospital, and that hospital, and I would argue as many other hospitals, is sitting on a treasure trove of data. A lot of medical data that could be used for better screening algorithms, for devising AI models that help with the diagnosis. We are actually working on one project which is about identifying bone marrow cancer cells. It's a very niche disease, and a lot of hospitals don't even have the means to diagnose it, and it takes long. So with AI and the proper data handling, we can sort this. On the other side, if you look at big tech, there's an estimate that the value of their user data is about 1.3 trillion. And what does the hospital that I mentioned and big tech have in common? None of that value is present on the balance sheet. There are also different incentives, and incentives definitely are not aligned here. So this situation is it is breaking. When we speak a lot about tokenization. There's the estimate that by 2030 there will be a lot, about 16 trillion assets on chain. Data isn't mentioned anywhere. Now, why is this changing? It's not changing because it's not ethical. It's not changing because regulators are not trying to sort this out. It's actually changing because of AI. Because what the AI needs is machine-readable ownership. At the core problem of all of this is that ownership is not being addressed. So, and if one does not own the data, then basically all other means are blocked. I will get back to this also a little bit later. So another example, Uh, I would probably majority of you here are using some sort of AI today, like ChatGPT, etc. You know, and probably we all can also relate when we get like really into the conversation, and there are like these insights and the aha moments, and like, oh, now I figure out something good. Now, I would ask you, where does that knowledge reside? Because, or is it actionable? It's actually, if you're using ChatGPT, it's in ChatGPT's vault. It's actually, you're adding to ChatGPT's knowledge and creating data for them. And, sorry, my French, you don't own shit. So they are getting stronger, and divide is just growing. And in the digital age, we need to be aware, and this is universal, that freedom begins with owning your data. It doesn't matter if you're a person here in Davos, it doesn't matter if you're a hospital, a company, a refugee, or whoever. It's for everybody who's participating in the digital world. This is how freedom begins. So, what do we need to do? We need to basically change the paradigms, and Web3 here is helping us. We need to rethink the systems where incentives are aligned, but also solutions where abuse is not possible. So we kind of need to make this mental shift from don't be evil to can't be evil. Now, how does this happen? So to continue, please next slide. There are 3 core concepts that I would be really happy if you get this as a takeaway. So we speak about data assets, data products, and data businesses. Now let's dive into what each one of them is. Next slide, please. So data asset is basically what you own. It's meant to stay private. It's meant to be stored in your self-sovereign storage. Your keys, your data. It's what you do. Now, out of data assets, data products are being created. Please, next slide. So this is, think of it like a couple of metaphors. So if you own a gold mine, that's an asset. You are not selling access to the gold mine. You are basically mining their gold and selling gold. That's kind of the analogy. Or if, for example, you do a Google search, what Google does, they don't send you their whole database. They send you the search results. They send you the data product they created instantly for you. And this is the logic behind it. So data assets is like with anything a company does. It's something to cherish. It's something to grow. In order to create data products which create revenues. So basically here what we see, hospital data can become a screening algorithm, traffic data can become a like route optimization API and so forth. So we see this transformation. Now the important part is, what I did not mention with data asset is, how does data actually become an asset? It becomes an asset, plainly said, like anything else. You claim ownership and you have it. And like a company says, we own this machine and we produce products with this machine, it's the same thing. How do we do this in the data sector? We use something called data provenance, which is essentially a cryptographic proof, proving that I own this data. It can be as simple as to understand, for example, a musician that makes a song, uploads his music to online to YouTube. He has a timestamp proof that he made that song. If somebody else makes the same song after him, he can have the claim, I did it first. So this is what essentially data provenance does. But then data provenance is also about basically tracking the whole lineage. So where does the data go? What happened with the data? What came back, etc. How was it also monetized? Now, I think it's hopefully clear what data asset is and what data products are. Now, if we talk about data business, so like any other business, data business is holding the assets that are used to make the products which generate revenue. Very simple. But there are a couple of changes, because like also one reason for data economy in a way lagging is it's really hard to do data exchange. It's like there's a lot of bureaucratic work essentially. Now AI and agents are made for that, and we can reduce the cycles immensely. It can go like a deal can happen instead of in a month or two, it can happen within a minute. So it's a whole different dynamic. Moreover, AI agents are the one that negotiate and execute smart contracts. They bring the transparency. So you have the setup where a data business is owning data assets. Those have the cryptographic proof. Data provenance links to the data products and how it's monetized, all dealt with smart contracts. We have a system that can scale. Now, yes, please, next one. So, where does also then the magic come in? The magic comes in when we tokenize the data business. What does this make? The tokenization of the data business creates fractional ownership. Fractional ownership enables a third party to enter in the data economy. So instead of having a two-sided market anymore, like between buyer and the seller, we also have investor entering. Investors provide liquidity, provide capital, they fuel the growth, and basically they also share the upside. One hospital's data and other hospitals' data, maybe the face value can be the same, but the management and what they do with that data can be different, and what kind of revenues they create. So this, then, we have like here the whole system where it's a scalable dynamic, where data products are created like data brokers would be creating them, so on demand for the use, and they're created on the fly. And basically this can help this can go on for 24 hours, 7 days a week. Data in this way becomes a real world asset, because you can put ownage of a business, of a data business, onto the balance sheet. And this then also enables a whole new spectrum of possibilities that weren't possible before. So data can become an investment. It can become a capital expenditure. It can become collateral. We can have like all kinds of dynamic where we see different businesses merge in order to create the data set of them all. So think of it like the automotive industry. They're all struggling with having enough data to train their cars to be self-driving. They could be forming a consortium based just for that use case. There's a bunch of other examples as well. So now what does this require? It does require self-sovereign infrastructure. In the same way as, simply put, you wouldn't buy an NFT that's hosted on Amazon, you probably wouldn't want to own an RWA that's where you have to put trust into somebody else. Now, just yesterday, here in Davos, I heard like at one event a really interesting comment that some countries are in today's time are becoming worried where they are storing their gold. They don't know if London and New York or Chicago are safe places to store that gold. So essentially, what I heard was self-sovereign infrastructure. And this is the same, it's the same with data. It's even easier with data, and I would say a lot less protections there are. So when you have a self-sovereign infrastructure, it means your data, your keys. It means nobody can modify it and nobody can take it down. In practical terms, you own it. Please, next slide. Now, at the same time, this needs to be agent-first infrastructure, and we have built it within the Fair Data Society initiative, so which is building on top of Swarm decentralized storage. Now, Swarm enables business models and interactions that are not possible without it. Think of it like what blockchain does for financial transactions, Swarm as decentralized storage does for data. On top of it, there's the whole tooling called FairDrive, the digital safe space, FairDrop, the trustless data escrow that can be used. And all of that infrastructure is built with agents first in mind. So they can access these services natively. An agent can have its own self-sovereign data storage. But still, yes, please. Still, when thinking about it, how do we prevent data extraction 2.0? And here come ethics into play. We basically, when we design this stack, it has ethics embedded. It started with ethics. And it's a very, very important thing, because also then when we move up the stack towards the agent trait, what happens is that ethics are constraining the building of the new solutions. So we have the rails for a truly fair data economy. Please, next slide. Now, here the idea was for me to actually do a demo. But let's say the infrastructure here is maybe not the most convenient. So you're gonna see screenshots of the demo where I explain this, how it looks basically today in real life. Now the design and all this, it's not part of the product. It was created just for this presentation. Please, next slide. Yeah, we can skip that one. So the idea is, imagine Elena. Elena's here in Davos. She's into crypto, she's into networking, she's into conferences, and she has her own agent running. And while she was sleeping, she already earned some of the money, basically doing nothing, sleeping. So next screen, please. That's sort of like her profile. It can have like a little bit resemblance to something like LinkedIn. We can see what kind of transactions she did and what she offers. Now, on the other side, next slide, please. We have John. John is an RWA investor in New York. He's coming late to Davos, and he also has like his agent running, and basically he wants his agent to help him figure out where he should go in Davos. So essentially what we see here is that first, this is on the Ethereum infrastructure, one agent looks for suitable agents that are offering relevant data. So it's the agent registry. Once this is found, and it's very dynamic in the sense that it's like find Davos networking intel, the agents connect the dots. We go through the whole process of the transaction. So an escrow is created, which is funded. Escrow basically means one party puts in the data, other party puts in the money. When the conditions are met, transaction happens, and transaction is complete. Next slide, please. And that's the result. So the recommendation of the agent was, this is the event to go. And we've seen Elena just made in this example $3. Actually, her agent made it for her. Please, next slide. This is just how it could look like her small data business. Next slide. And basically what this demo demonstrates is that we need to think of our data is our asset. And when we leverage it through agents and AI, it can also become our freedom in that sense. Next slide. Now, what I showed here, it was an example on Elena, but this is infrastructure for all. This works in the same way for a financial institution. It works the same way for a state, for a hospital, or for Elena, or for anybody of us. And in a way, you could think of it that maybe next year, when you listen to a talk here, your agent is actually going to make money by just, being there. So this is for everyone. Next slide. Also, we have all the incentives aligned. Everyone can participate. Data owners' incentives are aligned with data buyers and investors, of course, and AI builders as the service provider. It's a collaborative economy. And here, in that sense, innovation is universal. Next slide, please. Now, we also hear the game changer is that yes, the agents in this data economy are the market makers. So they are the demand and supply. So they turn around the flow of data. Next slide. The positive thing about companies is the moment when data asset is listed on the balance sheet, it inherits a bunch of like these awesome things we call laws and regulation and stuff like that. So basically, it gives clarity to the companies what they can do. They inherit the data protection laws, but they also there can also be applied all the economic tools and mechanisms. Just a little bit back. So the important part here is we turned something that was hidden in a way, that was non-transparent, and ironically, on which $1 trillion AI industry is running, we turn it into something that has transparency, is regulated, and it's tradable. And this creates whole new dynamics. And this is the paradigm shift. In that sense, we go from extraction to ownerships. We go from exploitation to sovereignty, from liability to assets. As ChatGPT would say, this changes everything. So next slide, please. Now, the infrastructure is ready. So it's taken quite a long time for it to build, for the whole ecosystem to mature, to have the tooling on the Ethereum chain, to have Swarm decentralized storage, all this. But this is ready. There are the first pilot projects in the making, but still what we need to be aware of, it's early on. It's early on. This is now just happening. My estimate is that this is going to be a lot more talked about in the second wave of RWAs, in the second wave of tokenization. And I think the timeline is accelerating. My estimate would be, let's say, 18 to 24 months. And in that sense, also the race is on. The race is on for companies to start having and thinking about their AI strategy, which a lot of consulting jobs are thriving on today. But what we need to know is that this AI strategy starts with data ownership. The race is on for jurisdictions to provide legal clarity. We've seen here already in Davos a lot of pitches which jurisdiction is best and which not, which should be inviting capital. So the best jurisdictions will also here invite, basically bring the whole ecosystem from exchanges, custodians, market makers, etc. Now, as a summary, how it works. So data assets stay private, products get monetized, businesses run autonomously. This all happens on a self-sovereign infrastructure, and it's driven by AI agents. And that's it. Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Gregor, for your amazing presentation. An obvious question. Based on what you're saying, so data will become investable by third party and a speculative asset. What could be the potential risks there, or rewards are still better?
It's basically, the short answer is it's same as with any other assets. Once we have a recognized and regulated asset, this is exactly how we then inherit also other properties. We are going to be, investors are going to evaluate which data business is performing, which data has potential, which data can grow, where are basically incentives for mergers and acquisitions and so forth. So, and it's going to be carrying basically the same risk as thinking of investing into startups or any other projects or crypto for that. In a way, I would say because of the regulation part, it's probably a lot less risky than investing into shitcoins.
So what do we do with our data that has, is currently held by social media sites and GPTs, those sorts of things? Do we just sort of...
How do we get it back?
Yeah, do we write it off, or how do we get it back?
That's a very good question. So it's I don't think there's a clear-cut answer. It depends also on the preferences of the person. Now, the first thing is this framework actually would make Google and all the big guys very profitable. It would make them also transparent and legal. And it would enable also, it enables new ownership models where actually users, when it comes to the data business aspect, can be co-owners. Because also the users, I mentioned, data can have fractional ownership. So in a very simple way, Meta could say, one token for me, one token for you, for example. So it could be, I think, in that sense, it's again like any other business. A business that has many assets can thrive. Now, when it comes to our personal view, so I did get personally annoyed by how much of my knowledge is locked in ChatGPT, and I think there are various ways to tackle this. I just created another agent that was basically importing all my ChatGPT conversations, and it was calculating and complaining for 3 days, but I think I got like most of it out in form of like some structured insights and concepts and stuff like that. So there's definitely gonna be some, let's say, grassroots tooling for that. There is not, at the moment, there is not incentive on OpenAI sites or the other sites to actually do that. They enable export, but it's not human friendly, let's put it this way. So I think we can reclaim our data in many ways. First, being aware of it, knowing what we do. Personally, I'm a heavy user of AI, but I don't use any of the web services. I use AI in my terminal, in code. Solutions like Cloud Code. This means that every conversation that I have adds to my knowledge management, and I can build on it and grow the context. It's so that's how I do it. But I think with this we will see. We can see new models where also the AI providers are incentivized to do better. Because for them, ultimately, it's also, they do want to present us with the best answers and solutions. And here, context is king. So, in other words, the more data we supply, also to the context window of the AI, the better results we could get. Now, yes, that's definitely, today, there is definitely a big leakage of privacy happening, but we already see some state-of-the-art open source models that are quite good at performing certain tasks. So I would say in a year or two, it will be also a lot more viable to run the whole system privately.
Thank you. Then we need to clear the room here because we're having a roundtable after. So if I can kindly ask everyone to leave the room, and then you're welcome to re-enter in 15 minutes or so. Thank you.